All right, let's take a look at this one too, up here. All right. What is it? It's race, right? Yeah. Okay. Again, the paradigm form would be what? Yuktulu. Yuktulu. Very good. Okay. So, what can we explain here? We've still got the schwa here, right? So we feel pretty good about that. What's going to happen here? Because it's a guttural. Going to have another schwa, right? We've already seen what happens when you have a heuric with a vocal schwa. Hebrew just doesn't like that. No reason for it. Just not comfortable with pronouncing it. So what happens? It becomes like it, right? It assimilates to it, and you end up with a pathak there. Now, what happens here?
You have to use rule of schwa.
All right. Yes.
You can't have two pronounced schwas next to each other.
Excellent. Excellent. Everyone see that? You got this is Yuktulu. This is a vocal schwa here. Okay? And which means it's still a vocal schwa here. It's got to be still a vocal schwa. The guttural has to have a schwa beneath it, and this would be a silent schwa, but when it becomes under a guttural, it has to be vocal. Compound schwas are always vocal. Now we've got two vocal schwas together. Two vocal schwas together have to invoke rule of schwa. So ya guru becomes ya ba ru. Okay. Everyone see how we got there? Almost everything in Hebrew makes sense. The parts that don't, we just kind of brush over. But, I mean, everybody see how we got this. This is irregular, if you want to think of it that way, but it follows known patterns of behavior for Hebrew verbs. So, again, this one's a little trickier for you because you don't have the short vowel schwa combination. But you would have had, except for the fact that we ended up having to invoke rule of schwa.
But
here.
does that turn that schwa into a silent schwa?
Very good question. No, it does not.
Sure looks like it's...
It looks like it, doesn't it? It looks like it ought to. Remember here, in this form, Yuktulu, this schwa is vocal. It's going to stay vocal here. That's part of the basic enunciation of the form. And we've had these other changes here. Otherwise, if this became silent, we wouldn't have to invoke rule of schwa. But, yeah.
So is that now a four-syllable?
Well, this takes us back to our the debate between Professor Bartelt and I about some of these syllables that we don't need to trouble you with. But yes, this is you would pronounce this as a four-syllable word.
Ya'averu.
Ya'averu.
It shouldn't be ya'averu.
No, because see, in the form, in the paradigm form, this is always going to be a vocal schwa. It's part of the basic nature of this form, the way it's vocalized, is that this is a vocal schwa. So it stays vocal here. That's why we had to invoke rule of schwa. So I know it violates everything that we kind of told you. That's why I said all grammarians' rules are ex post facto. We make them up to explain the way languages have developed, but languages don't actually develop according to rules. Okay, you understand that? That's not what happens in real life languages. There's just what we do to try to explain them after the fact. But this syllable has to be vocal. It's part of the nature of the form. And after we invoke rule of schwa, it looks as though it's closed, but in fact it's not. So you're not going to have to divide this word into syllables on the quiz. Okay? The only thing that's going to happen is I'm going to call on you and ask you to pronounce it, and when you mispronounce it, we'll all laugh at you, and But learning to deal with people mocking you is an important part of learning to become a pastor.
But mispronouncing that,
Especially your wife, when she said.
mispronouncing that isn't as bad as sin
No,
and shin?
Not as bad as what?
As sin and shin and...
No, it's not as bad. This is an acceptable mistake. Now, if I had you in college and you were in second year Hebrew, you know, this would be a different matter. This is not an acceptable mistake for second year Hebrew. But at this level, this is an acceptable. That's a very good question. I'm glad you asked. Bartelt and I had a bet on whether someone would ask that question.
Did you lose?
Well, he actually bet me. He didn't give me the option that someone would ask the question, yes. But so I guess in a sense I lost. So we didn't have a money bet. It's just I bet you somebody will ask that question, kind of question. And it's a very good question. I'm glad you asked it. I'm just sorry that I had to answer it. See, he always skips out. After he fell victim to the curse of the silent schwa, he decided not to take any more chances with these things that are hard to explain. All right.